Hello my lovely language learners, I hope you guys are all feeling amazing. Today I will teach you guys how to effectively learn two languages at once. Let's answer the first question here. Can you learn two languages at the same time? Yes, you can. But if not done correctly, it can become very difficult to learn two at once. In order to learn two languages, you need to follow a process in order to do it easily and not mix the two languages. I myself follow this process and actually I learned three languages using this exact process. You can apply the structure of this process in accordance to your study needs and learning two languages will become quite easy actually. But before you know the process, it's even more important that you know how not to learn two languages. Let's make this clear. You want to learn two languages? Don't start them all at once from zero. This will make the learning process very difficult. And let me tell you, in language learning, even if it makes things 1% difficult, you need to avoid it. Because you will be learning that language for most likely more than 1 year or even years. So you need to make things as easy as possible. And the first thing is not to start with both languages at once. You need to understand something. It's the first steps in language learning that are the most difficult. Most people fail language learning at these first steps, and if you manage to go through the first steps successfully, you will most likely stick with your learning routine and your chance of learning that language becomes very high. Now that you know how not to learn, let's go to the process of learning two languages. Let's just say you are learning Spanish and German. You need to start with one language first, and it should be the easiest one. A quick research through the internet will show you that Spanish is easier for English speakers compared to German. So we start with Spanish and go through the beginner phase. We need to focus all of our time and energy on Spanish for right now. For once we reach an upper beginner level in Spanish, it is also known as A2 level. This can take like 1 to 3 months depending on the course you have used and how much time you have spent studying. So once you reach A2 level, now we can focus on German from zero, while improving Spanish at the same time. And since we have left distance between two languages, it's easier for us to learn both languages without mixing the vocabulary, pronunciation and grammar rules. Since we have left a little room between the two languages, now it will be easier for our brain to distinguish both languages and not mix the vocabulary and grammar rules and other things. If we have started both of them together, then we will keep mixing the pronunciation and grammar rules and things like that, because our brain is just not familiar with both of the languages. But when our brain becomes familiar with one of the two languages, then it just becomes easier to learn the other language as well as the older one. So just keep this very important point in mind. I'm sure you guys have some questions, so I will try to answer some here. Rest of the questions you guys can ask in comments and I will try to answer all of them. So the first question will be, what if I am learning more than two languages? You can learn as many languages as you want with this method. The main idea is to leave room between each language. If you start all languages at the same time, since you are not used to a single language, you will keep mixing its sounds, vocabulary and grammar structure. And it will just become a big mess, a nightmare to go through. The information I gave you, you can adopt this system as you see fit in your language learning schedule. Question 2. How many languages should you learn? If you have the time, you can even learn 5 or 6 languages. Realistically speaking, I find going above 3 languages becomes very unmanageable for me, as I have to do other things too in my life. Now, if you are learning a new language for the first time, then I suggest sticking with one language only. But if you have to learn multiple languages, I suggest sticking to not more than 2 languages for first timers. Question 3. How much time do I need to spend on each language? Even if you are learning one language, spend at least 1 hour studying each language. Going below 1 hour per language has very diminishing returns and can slow down your progress speed a lot. If this is the first time you are going to start learning a new language, I suggest avoiding learning 2 languages at once. In majority of the cases, language learning will take a lot of time and effort unless you get very lucky in certain circumstances. Adding a second language will make the process more frustrating. I think I should explain this better. The point is not that you cannot learn 2 languages. The point is the frustration part that affects a lot of new language learners. When you are learning a new language for the first time, there will be a point that you just won't see your progress easily. Things become very slow. If you have learned another language before and went through the process, then you know what to expect and it won't bother you much. But if you are learning for a first time, then this can really frustrate you because it just feels like you are not getting the results even after spending hours on language learning every day. And eventually people stop learning their new language or languages. So that's why I suggest starting with one language if possible, but if you really have to learn two languages due to certain circumstances, then go ahead and use this method. If you have some other questions, feel free to ask in comments below. With all that said, I will see you guys again.